Welcome to Tech Tuesday on the Final Boss podcast, where innovation meets attitude, and the future gets decoded one byte at a time. I'm your host, Turbotheceo, and your co-host, Mike Foth. And today we're diving deep into the tech trenches to uncover the tools, trends, and truths shaping tomorrow. Whether you're a code slinger, gadget geek, or just tech curious, this is your weekly power-up. So grab your controller, plug in, and let's level up.
Welcome to the Final Boss Podcast, Tuesday night edition of, you guessed it, Tech Tuesday. I'm your host, the Final Boss, and on the other screen is my co-host, the Sensei, Big Mike. Let's give it up for him. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have a great show for you guys tonight. Tonight is episode number 120, and we're going to dive into a topic that you guys probably aren't familiar with and that is probably not on your radar. And there's a convergence going on that's in the shadows that you probably don't see. And we're going to deconstruct that thing between code and creed, and we're going to talk about it. And the basis of the topic is tech and spirituality. And listen to everyone, no matter where you are, wherever you're tuning in at, on whatever platform you're watching us from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And welcome to the Final Boss Podcast, Tech Tuesdays, baby. I am here. We are here. And it is going to be a great show tonight. Sir, how are you feeling?
I took a week off from doing certain things, and it was good for my soul. My soul needed a break.
Good. And you are here, man. Let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sensei. So, a few admin notes before we get started with the brass tacks and tonight's episode. Make sure you continue to like, share, and subscribe. I say again, like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Got that, people? Like, share, subscribe. Please continue to support us by DMing us and shooting us emails, which, we're all on this journey together. This information space is all for the betterment to create a better you and a better us. So make sure you continue to send us those emails, DM us on whatever platform you're watching from. And the email is at info@thefinalbosspodcast, all one word.com. That's info@thefinalbosspodcast.com, all one word. And we're going to go ahead and get into the brass tacks of the evening. The brass tacks comes from Dana Loberg. And here it is. As we explore the frontiers of technology and consciousness simultaneously, we are beginning to see how these seemingly yet merging domains are connected. Together, they offer a glimpse of a future where science and spirituality converge. That's our brass tacks for tonight. And that is going to lead us into our topic of code and creed. Code and creed, ladies and gentlemen. And we will be right with you in a few seconds. Oh, man. Whew. Got that done. Hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. Man, these weeks are flying. These weeks are flying by. Yes, they are. Hello, Jaconda. Hey, Molly. I see everyone's on board. Okay. All right. The family's in the building. All right. So, let's get into it, sir. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Listen, we built our algorithms to save seconds, and they've stolen our centuries. Tonight, we face the question no device can answer. Why are we here? Why are we here?
Oh, that's a big question.
Yes, sir.
That's a real big question. Well, maybe purpose isn't an upgrade.
Hmm,
Maybe it's the
maybe.
original operating system. Think about that. The
Hmm,
original operating system,
that's deep.
present from the first spark of creation. The biggest question fits in your pocket, but it won't stay there.
See what you did? I see what you did right there. Oh man. All right. That's a hell of an opening statement. Let me just ponder on that. You know what? I need you to say that again, man. That was profound. I need you to say that one more time for us.
All right. Maybe purpose isn't an upgrade. Maybe it's the original operating system.
Hmm.
The biggest question fits in your pocket, but it won't stay there.
Wow. Wow. Let's give it up to the sensei, man. That's incredible. Listen, to the smarts, to my warriors, to my motivators, to the final bosses. I hope you guys are taking notes because that right there, I am added to my toolbox. Absolutely. So, Mike, let's get into it, man. My first question of the evening: what we call life's code is just a lucky chemical accident, or is someone or something writing this script?
So let's start in the beginning. Okay.
Okay.
DNA. We all know what DNA is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1 gram of DNA stores 215 petabytes. That's 2,500 gigabytes of information.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mind bending amount of ordered data, and it also has error correcting logic far beyond any human database. So it can repair itself.
Right.
Zoom out the universal physical constraints, constants, gravity, electromagnetism, nuclear forces. They're balanced to 1 part in 10 to the 60th power. The odds of that happening by chance are effectively zero. So there's more scientific proof that our existence is by design than there isn't. If you
Right.
say, I want to prove that it's just a random,
Mm-hmm.
there's way more scientific proof and evidence
Right.
that it's not by accident.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a grand architect. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, man, I was thinking the deeper we go in these types of subject matters, the more it feels like program or a simulation. And it doesn't feel like it's accident. It's
Yeah,
very purposeful.
absolutely. Yeah. I, I briefly touched on DNA, but if you really want to prove what's going on,
Hmm.
look deeper into what DNA is, what DNA does, and it's unbelievable the amount of information. Look, there's scientists who have taken um, information in DNA, okay,
Right.
replicated the DNA, meaning grew
Hmm.
it because it's alive, and pulled out the same information later. So they inserted information into the DNA, replicated the DNA, so you can grow cells and replicate DNA, and then went right back into that same DNA and pulled out information. It's like a digital hard drive. It's insane. It's crazy. It's like mind-boggling, unbelievable. Okay.
Right.
DNA is comparable to the entire World Wide Web at one time, at any time. It has that much information
Hmm.
in a tiny, it's the most compact form of storage ever conceived.
Right.
So it's crazy. It's redundant,
Ab-
it has plasticity. The brain constantly rewires storage, error correction. Some is temporary. It is unbelievable how fascinating DNA is. It can't be by accident.
Right.
It's too organized. It's too structured.
Mm-hmm.
It's too resilient to be by accident. Here's the thing. Ancient wisdom anticipated this. Take the Gospel of John, which opens
Right.
with, "In the beginning was the Word,
Mm-hmm.
and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Through him all things were made." That word is logos in Greek, more than speech. It means rational principle, the
Okay.
deep logic holding reality together.
Mm-hmm.
John essentially claims the universe is intentional communication like a cosmic source code. That's what he's saying when he makes
Right.
that statement.
When he makes that statement. Yeah. That's a profound statement too, man. I mean, one of the greatest statements of all of mankind in written word.
Mhm.
Um, you mentioned logos. So logos is like the first programming language, if you scale it back to original. It's cosmic, personal, and creative.
And that was from John in
Right.
that time of history.
Mm-hmm.
Let's cross reference to an older voice further back,
The Vedic.
the Vedic
Yeah.
concept of Rata.
Mm-hmm.
The Rig Veda describes Rata as the order that keeps the stars on their paths and the seasons on time. It's not just physics, it's moral harmony and right action. Later traditions called it Dharma.
Mm.
Dharma is living in rhythm with that universal template. Set logos and Rata side by side. John speaks of a personal source of order, while the Vedas describe a pervasive view of order.
Mm.
Both of them reject blind chaos. Both suggest that acting against that deep pattern
Mm.
creates suffering and noise. So they're saying if you don't embrace order and you embrace chaos, you're going to have suffering, you're going to have noise, you're not going to have harmony.
And that makes
Except
perfect sense. Yeah.
except that what is in front of you is in
Mm-hmm.
front of you. Don't fight it.
Don't fight it. Right.
Don't
Don't
say
fight it.
it's random. If you say it's
Yeah.
random, then you're not accepting the reality of it, of what it truly
Exactly.
is. There's too
Mm-hmm.
much in place which proves it to be absolutely correct. And we don't have to describe that information in zeros and ones.
Right.
We step back, and I'm not saying we're saying the words cryptically,
Mm-hmm.
but in laying out a philosophical difference between order and chaos, it makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It makes sense. It's disingenuous to look at it and say it's random.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It means you're snubbing all facts.
All facts. Yep.
So it's just I don't know. It's once you see that from that far back, the perspective
Mm-hmm.
that recognizes that it's not just that we're here by accident, that there's intent and purpose behind it.
Very
Once you
purposeful.
see that,
Yeah.
you reject chaos, you reject that insanity.
Yeah.
And no matter how you get to where you're going to get with
Mm-hmm.
that information, both of those philosophies and both of those perspectives reject chaos.
Yeah.
Look, there is order
Mm-hmm.
in the matrix.
Yeah. You those philosophies can be used as a vehicle for harmony.
Mhm. And they both
Yeah.
suggest that.
Absolutely.
They're
Absolutely.
not in conflict with each other. They
Mm-hmm.
both, even from different perspective, it's like the left hand and the right hand are both speaking the same language
For the same outcome.
for the same outcome.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's pretty impressive to be able to look at things historically and go back through time and see what was written
Right.
and what's discussed.
You
There's
know,
just so much.
so much, man. So much so that modern science keeps finding measurable precision. And these ancient texts that you were just mentioning provide the narrative framework.
So they're not in conflict with each other.
Right.
The modern science is actually complementing the ancient texts.
Mm-hmm.
DNA and physics give the data. Logos and Rata give the meaning. When both DNA and the universe look coded, maybe the code points to a coder.
That part right there. That part right there.
And you take the hard fact of sciences that we know, and you take the spiritual aspects of these philosophies that say that we should be in harmony. When you put those two together, they're not in conflict. And they both point to a higher purpose. They both
Absolutely.
point to a controlling hand.
Mm-hmm.
And we can take the words that were simple words that were written many, many years ago and apply it not against the scientific information we have, but next to it
Right.
in parallel, together, not
Mm-hmm.
apart.
Not apart.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And what do we talk here? We're on Tech Tuesday, so what do you like to talk?
We're talking about technology as hmm, as it's merging possibly with spirituality.
Hmm.
Yeah. And we've designed technology to serve us. But, and I say this all the time, are we starting to serve it? Or somehow, some way, technology influenced us to create technology.
So spirituality helps us to create the technology, right?
Yeah.
Because with the spirituality, we have to be careful with technology because are we serving it? If
Hmm.
we start to serve technology, that's where the spiritual cost shows up.
Right.
In spiritually, okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
distraction is exile. So if you are wanting to look into yourself and look at yourself in as a spiritual being, then you have to be introspective. You have to have focus. You have to pay attention to all things around you and what's happening. Okay.
Right. Right.
If you're distracted, then you can't achieve that.
Hmm.
Distraction is exile.
Absolutely.
And if we look at in any of the old stories of exile, Israel and Babylon, the Buddha leaving his palace, or the desert fathers seeking solitude, there's so many stories throughout history
Hmm.
where these absolute leaders of spirituality have gone into exile. And in exile, it's not a location, it's an experience of being cut off from the center of meaning. And in that, what did they find? In that, they found their inner meaning. In
Right.
that, they found their inner purpose. But they had to
Hmm.
be cut off from everything to get that.
Right.
It's not a location. Look, when we live in constant notification mode, okay, constant replication. constant notification mode, like constantly. You're bombarded from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Ding, 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 ding. We all have it. We all see it. We all know it. It
Yep.
happens.
That happens.
We replicate that ancient exile spiritually. We stay busy, but we're never present. And we have talked about that in our previous podcasts about attention and how attention is being destroyed. So what's
Right.
occurring? We're busy, but never present. The mind cannot enter stillness long enough to sense what John calls the logos,
Mm.
the rational, personal heartbeat of creation. We're
Wow.
so full of noise, we can never hear the heartbeat of the life around us.
Mm.
It takes putting yourself in that quiet place to be able to truly listen and hear. If your life is full of noise, you never can hear anything. You just can't. It's not possible. It's too much noise.
Man, let me tell you, that just gave me chills.
Look, when we drift away from the Rata, the Vedic principle of cosmic and moral order, we drift away from the order, okay? Because we never pause to notice how our lives line up
Mm-hmm.
or don't with that deeper pattern.
Right.
If you can see the matrix, you
Mm-hmm.
can understand the matrix. But you have to put yourself in that mindset where you're not seeing the distraction, but you start to see the underlying code. The matrix is the underlying code.
Yeah.
If you can put yourself in the mindset where you can start to see the code,
Mm-hmm.
then you can make sense of everything that's around you. You can find your place in that code. Look, it's not that screens are evil. It's those endless novelty trains the soul. It trains the soul, the endless novelty, the endless clicks, the
Yeah.
swipes, all these things. They train your soul to avoid silence.
Mm.
When we were children, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts, when you're children, especially when you're growing up in the Generation X in the 80s, boredom was a part of life. And in
Absolutely.
that boredom, you
Mm-hmm.
could grow. In the
Right.
boredom, you could experiment. In that boredom, you found new ways to do things.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a form of silence. That's a form of no distractions. These children nowadays have so many distractions from the time they're awake until the time they go to bed. They don't even understand what the concept of silence is.
Yeah. They're busy, 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 busy. Like little busy
And the
bees.
problem with that is, how do you grow if you
Mm-hmm.
can't look at yourself?
Mm.
Look at yourself. This is one of the parts of growth that is talked about in many, many, many forms of psychology and spirituality, is you have to be able to look inside yourself to know who you are.
Right.
Self-examination.
Mm-hmm.
Silence where the conscience speaks, where prayer and self-examination ignite. The uh, monastic writers say that the enemy of the soul isn't hatreds, it's akidia, the restless boredom that makes you scroll when you should sit and listen.
Mm.
That's the enemy of the soul. Your soul is not able to repair itself or grow if you can't sit and listen.
Wow. Wow.
And you tell me that nowadays, look around you. Do
Yeah.
we have a lot of souls out there that need some help?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they're
Absolutely.
not getting it because they're so distracted they can never stop.
Mm-hmm.
And the price they're paying for that is that their souls are not at peace. And if there's no inner peace, how do you ever get through this world if you don't have inner peace?
Right.
That's like the answer of why am I here? Is like I'm trying to find inner peace.
But you
That's
know,
one of
so
the
many.
answers to the
Mm-hmm.
question is why am I here on this planet? And one of the answers is to find peace.
Yeah. So many people right now living in chaos. Yep.
100%.
Turmoil and chaos, man. It's unbelievable. So, you mentioned this exile. So I'm thinking that the exile isn't physical, it's losing our inner address, if you will.
Yes, your inner address. Your inner
Mhm.
address is your purpose. You're grounded by your purpose. You're
Mhm.
grounded. That's what gives you the ability to withstand anything that comes at you. Because if your feet are grounded in your purpose, nothing can shake you. But if your feet are on the water and you don't have anything to hold on to, you get pushed with the waves.
True.
Life happens to you,
Mhm.
not around you.
Correct.
Every
Correct.
time we flee the present moment, listen to this, we lengthen the distance between ourselves and purpose. The feed becomes Babylon, the algorithm, the Pharaoh. When you outsource wonder, you downsize your soul.
Wait, wow, wait, hold up. Time out. Time out. Flag on the play. I need that again, man. Hey, smarts, final bosses, warriors, motivators. Listen to this, man. Listen to this. This is probably one of the most profound statements you would ever hear. You will ever hear. And I'm telling you right now, we're talking about spirituality and we're talking about technology and the convergence of the two. That can very well happen. You don't think it will happen? It very well can happen. And sir, please say that again.
When you
Oh, flag on the
outsource,
play first. Yeah,
there you go.
there we go.
That's a good flag.
Yeah.
When you outsource wonder,
Hmm.
you downsize your soul.
Wow.
When you're a child and the first time you see a rainbow,
Hmm.
you're like jumping up and down with joy because it's such a spectacular thing. It's wondrous to you. It's magical to you. It's
Right.
it's life changing when you see something that's wonder. That's that feeling. When you outsource that to a TikTok feed, what's your soul get out of that? It's like
Wow.
cotton candy. I've said
Yeah.
this before. Technology has been turned into cotton candy,
Mm.
and it's cotton candy for your soul. You need meat and potatoes. That's how you grow your soul, not with cotton candy. You need meat and potatoes for your soul.
Shh.
And, and how do you get meat and potatoes for your soul? We're going to talk about that
Yeah.
because there is a way to do it.
Mm.
There is a
So
way.
I'm glad you opened that up with that statement, man, because I'm sitting here thinking, how do we find solid hope, genuinely solid hope right now, especially with so much chaos that's happening, not just in arm's distance, arm's reach. We're talking about neighborhoods, we're talking about communities, we're talking about global chaos. And how and why do we keep hearing about this fresh Christian spiritual revival? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, this is one of the most striking cultural shifts in the past few years, okay?
Hmm.
Because we haven't heard anything about this for a long time, and now suddenly here it is. There's data from Barna, if you want to go look it up, and others show that Gen Z and millennials are increasingly open to Christian faith since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And lately, even now with current events, it's absolutely mind-boggling. All over thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people. It's drawing thousands of people into continuous worship and prayer over these periods of time. Local churches, doesn't matter which one, across traditions, from evangelical to Orthodox, are reporting similar surges in baptism and new members.
Mm.
And you say, why now?
Yeah.
because crisis births hunger, spiritual hunger.
Right.
Pandemic, political turmoil, economic shocks, when every dashboard in your car is flashing red, people are instinctively looking for a foundation that isn't shaking.
Shaking.
You're
It's
looking
true.
for hope.
Mm-hmm.
Hope. I've got goosebumps. Hope.
Hope.
Okay? Hope
Yeah.
that I'm not alone. The feeling of that is unbelievable, that when everything is falling apart around you, to not feel that you're alone, you're gonna search for that.
True.
Otherwise, you're just gonna give up and say, I'm ready to die.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
uh, we're not ready to die.
But man, I hear a lot of people say that. I hear a lot of people say that they're ready to get this thing over with. I hear a lot of people say that whatever they believe is on its way to the earth, they're hoping it's a meteor or something that just wipes everything out. People are actually in a negative space and want
Right.
these type of things to happen.
Because they've lost touch with their soul.
Mm,
You lose touch with what makes you who you are, there's nothing left.
right.
Look at the crisis in teen suicides.
Oh man.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling. Because think about it. If you've never in your entire life ever been taught to be silent and look inside and see where do you fit in this big world, and to look at your soul and to help your own soul grow, if you've never been taught the skills to do that, and your soul is a little tiny pea, and it's dark because there's no light around it,
Right.
where's the hope there?
Hmm.
And that's what happens. That's why we have this pandemic happening of these young suicides, these kids killing themselves, because they don't know any other reality. Look, it's an identity vacuum. Traditional status markers, career, consumption, online likes, they're fragile.
Right.
There's nothing to them. It's cotton candy. I keep saying it's cotton candy.
Yeah.
A transcendent identity anchored in God offers a steadiness algorithms can't supply. It's an anchor. It doesn't change. It's solid,
Hmm.
and it teaches you the skills and helps feed your soul.
Right.
It's called grassroots authenticity.
Mm,
These events that are happening all over the place, they're not centrally planned. They're just happening. Students don't just get up and leave. This is grassroots. It's a bottom up dynamic that travels fast on social media because it feels real. But there's a big movement happening
right.
for the soul of our country. And right when we are looking at it think that its hope is lost and it's dark, it was
Hmm.
funny when I said that my matrix stopped and everything went dark. When you see that everything around you looks hopeless and dark, and you find that spark of life, of purpose,
Yeah.
you don't think you're going to cling to that in the darkness? You're going to cling to the light. And what
Hmm.
happens when you cling to the light? The light will grow
Absolutely.
and the light will
Absolutely.
be shared with others.
Hmm.
Look, faith gives more than community. It reframes chaos. Think about that. It reframes chaos. Chaos is out there all over the place. When you're
Yeah.
anchored in faith, chaos has no hold on you.
Hmm.
Look, Christianity promises that suffering, injustice, and even death do not have the final word. Those suffering, injustice, and death, those are chaos. They don't have the final word.
Right.
Hope is not optimism,
Hmm.
it's a trust in a larger story of restoration and resurrection.
Correct.
It's a bigger picture.
It's a bigger picture. Hmm.
Darkness cannot exist when there is light.
That's correct. So revival is an escape. It's a public declaration that darkness doesn't get the last line or the last word.
Absolutely. Look, when the world is shaking,
Mm-hmm.
grounding in faith becomes an act of resistance. When everything around you is falling apart and you have nothing, and you can hold on to faith, you have something. It's an act of resistance. It is not going to win. I will not let it destroy me. I am going to fight to survive. My soul is going to fight to survive. This is where daily spiritual habits come into play.
Right.
Scripture, prayer,
Mm-hmm.
silence, gathering. They're
Yeah.
like anchoring cables that when the culture
Mm.
sways, if when culture is swaying and you're anchored, not just from one anchor, but from multiple anchors, the wind can blow all around you, doesn't move you. If you're anchored, the world happens around you, not to you. If you are not anchored, the world takes you away.
Right.
It happens to you. Look, if
Mm.
you're in the ocean and you fall out of the boat and you're in the middle of the storm, do you have anything to hold on to? And then what happens? You're just part of the storm.
Yep.
But even if you have a life raft or a life jacket to hold on to, you have
Mm-hmm.
something, no matter how small it is, to anchor you and
Right.
to help hold you and to give you hope that you will survive. That's what we need as humans. We need hope.
Yep.
We
I,
desperately crave hope.
I always say that hope is part of our genetics. It's built in. It's what makes us human. It's a huge part of our
Our humanity,
humanity. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a huge part of humanity. You know, you can take away a lot of things from a man and he'll survive, but do not take away his hope.
Mm.
And again, all you need is that tiny little spark. It doesn't have to be a flame. It just has to be a spark.
Mm-hmm.
And a spark can turn into a flame, a tiny flame, which can then grow.
Yeah.
And the brighter the flame grows, the further darkness is pushed away from you. And look, this stuff happens generationally because the memories that are burned into the DNA are passed on, just like how your eyes look like your parents and your facial structure and your body type and even what diseases you're subjected to
Yeah.
are genetic. Look,
Mm-hmm.
cholesterol is known to be a genetic problem.
Yep.
80% of your cholesterol is genetic.
Yep.
80%.
Yep.
So there it just is. It's just because it's built into you. Your DNA says this is what you are. Now, you don't think that your
Yep.
DNA, as wonderful as it is, the information that it has, if something scars a person and burns into their soul, you don't think that can be passed on through their DNA because the DNA remembers?
Absolutely. DNA has memory. We talked about
And
that.
if
Yeah.
you want to say, okay, how does that actually? No, that can't really be the case. Really, take a tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Take a tree, cut a tree down. You read the rings. You can see the good years, you can see the bad years in the rings of a tree. It remembers. Don't think it doesn't pass that information down.
Mm-hmm.
A tree will remember its life,
Right.
what's happened to it. Look at the rings of a tree. And we're way more complicated than that.
Right.
So you don't think that our bodies have the ability to pass on the information of what has happened to us?
Absolutely.
It's almost magical,
Mm.
almost magical that what we have as a gift. We have such a precious gift that if we don't even recognize it, then how blind are we? That means that you have no silence.
Yeah.
You
You
have
know, I spoke.
no way to look inside yourself because you're so distracted and
Yeah.
you're only existing. I'm going to tell you what. I say this
Hmm.
all the time, and this is one big thing that I love to say. I like to say this. When you hear the words you only live once, I don't really like that because if you only live once, you're going to be careful and protect it. And it's not, just be really careful with it. Don't do anything. Don't take any risks. Don't do anything that's dangerous ever. Oh, don't, no, you might hurt that little thing. Protect it. If you do that, you're only going to exist every day. You're never going to live. I say this, you only die once, but you live every day.
Right.
And if you can find that special thing every day that says today is a great day to be alive, if you can touch your soul every day to say, hey, I'm here,
Hmm.
you're here, you're going to help your soul grow by doing that. And by doing that, you're going to find that beautiful thing every day that says today is a great day to be alive. And if you
Absolutely.
can find that every day,
Yeah.
your time on this planet will actually slow down because now you're living.
Hmm.
You're not just existing. You're not just going through the routine of life and you wonder where the last 10 years went, 20 years went. Where'd your life go?
Yeah. I just
These,
touched on that yesterday on Motivation Monday. I
Mhm.
discussed uh, life is 50-50. There's a 50-50 chance that you can wake up or you cannot wake up. And every
And
time
when
you're
it's your
able to open
time,
your eyes, that's the gift. That is
that's
a
why it's
gift.
called the present.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is called the present for a reason, because it
Hmm.
is a present. You can look back on your memories, and those are fond memories, but you can only experience this life by actually living it. And there's tools, okay? There's tools that we can use um, to help us. To say,
Hmm.
how do I do this? I'm lost with all of this stuff that's going on to me and around me that I don't know what to do. Why do you think there's such a revival happening? Because you start to have people that say, I don't know what to do and I'm lost.
Right.
And they go to where they can find hope and maybe someone can help them find their way.
Mm.
Because would you rather be alone in this world or would you rather know that you have a greater purpose and know that you're not alone? Look, I went to a concert one time
Hmm.
and the group is called Disturbed. And when they went to play, the only things on the stage, no stage equipment, none of that weird, crazy stuff. They just had drums, some guitars, and speakers.
Okay.
And David Draymond is the artist, and he was singing, and he stopped in the middle of the concert. Says, "I want you to do me a favor." And he looked around to the entire stadium was full, and he says, "Have you or anyone you know ever experienced or been through suicide, drug addiction, depression?" And he just started listing off all these things.
Hmm.
And he says, "If you have, raise your hand." And the whole place was so silent you could hear a pin drop. And you see one hand pop up, two hands pop. Soon, almost the entire stadium had people with their hands in the air. And he looks around and he goes, says, "You're not alone." And even to this day, I will never forget that experience because we are not alone. Our experiences we have, no matter how bad they are, we are not alone.
Right.
And if you find someone who's been through it, can help
Hmm.
you get through it, that's where hope springs eternal. That's where the spark becomes a flame. That's where you can find purpose.
Absolutely.
And we, as humans, naturally, once you start to find who you are and find your inner peace, you want to share your peace with others
Mm.
and help them find their peace. Look, you can't find peace in this world until you're at least in your mid 30s because you don't experience enough in this world. You haven't been through enough heartache and pain to understand that part of it. You
Right.
have to understand the good and the bad and have lived through enough of it to find out where you are in that. And then you can begin to find peace.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most under discussed center of our being that we don't talk about anywhere is finding inner peace. And you hear the Hare Krishnas and all the other different folks that are talking about inner peace, and there's a lot to be said to that.
Right.
There's a lot to be said for that. Maybe not the approach that they use, but so
Mm-hmm.
what? It doesn't matter. You're still trying to find, look, you can go many directions to get to the same end result. Okay. And I don't care what direction you go. That's not my thing to tell you what direction to go. If Christianity is yours and that fits you and it fits your being and you can find hope and peace in that, go for it.
Right.
If it's not, and meditation and using some of the Eastern religions works for you, great. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter because what? We're all in the same system, the same planet, and all of those religions, all of them, every single one of them, except the one, is one that doesn't. All of those religions out there, all are against chaos,
Right.
and they all believe in order.
Mm.
There's one that says kill everybody that doesn't believe like you do. I find that to be a little bit of reprehensible, but so be it. Um, that is what it is. But find what works for you. And you can do this. You can start, okay? You can start on your own. You can do a 2 hour, I'm going to call it a sacred border. 2 hours. No screen,
Right.
just presence.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you can do things like just going for a walk, but don't have any music in your head. Don't listen to an iPod. Don't do any of that. Just go for a walk. Okay? It's called a signal audit. Pick one app and switch to creator mode only. In other words, you are the one who is running it not running you,
Okay.
not swiping and going, but create. Okay. Do what's
Mm-hmm.
called a purpose journal, a single sentence nightly. What's the impact I made today?
Okay.
Ask yourself a simple question like that.
Mm.
What did I do today to live? Or start your day with the one sentence. What am I going to do today to live,
Mm-hmm.
not exist? Embrace the order, reject the chaos. That's all it takes. These
Absolutely.
principles are echoing
Mhm.
ancient practices and they open up a space for God's presence to reorient a life.
Yeah.
Give yourself that moment of silence and again say something as simple as a one sentence. What am I going to do to live today?
Mm-hmm.
How do I feed my soul today? What I'm going to feed my soul today. I'm going to live today.
Right.
And then at the end of your day, what did I do? And write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Writing something down, not typing it, writing something down in a piece of paper is kinesthetic. It burns into your memory. And
Absolutely.
when something burns into your memory, it becomes part of you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't forget when you write down. When I teach classes, my students have a pen and paper and they write things down because they will remember the act of writing down anchors the information into your soul. It anchors
Absolutely.
it. You don't forget if you write it
Mm-hmm.
down. If you don't write it down, it just becomes more zeros and ones.
And
When
I'm glad you mentioned that, because those very same principles, guess what? I just finished my first book.
Right?
It's gone through the first editing process,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those principles are inside the book, and it's a self-help.
Yeah.
And these
Uh,
principles work. They work, people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they work. Because
Yeah.
what are you doing? You are bringing focus to your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're rejecting chaos.
The
You're
harmony.
finding harmony.
Yep.
Harmony. You're finding that balance, that peace. You're finding the things in this world which are worth living for.
Correct. The
Look,
why.
the why. When the
Yeah.
world shakes, when
Mm-hmm.
the world shakes, the soul anchored in faith does not dissolve. When
Correct.
the world shakes, okay? Look, in World War II, when the British were being bombed in London
Mm-hmm.
and they had to go underground, there was not scientists, but psychologists who were down there to see, oh my God, this has got to be devastating to these people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how can they survive this mentally and it not break them? How did
Right.
it not break the spiritual will
Mm-hmm.
of the English people during World War II when their cities were being bombed nightly? And you know what they found out? They found out that these people they let it go.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, if it happens to me and I die, so be it. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's not my time, it's not. And I'm going to continue living because
Right.
what's the choice?
Yeah.
What's the choice you have if you don't live?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't choose life, what's the choice? What's else is there if you don't choose life? I'm firmly believing in choose life because that's all we have. That's all we have. We
Yep.
have we have life, or we have not life. I believe in life. Life is important. It's what makes us who we are. It's what makes us what we are. It's what makes us special. That's what happens. You know,
You-
we have a beautiful thing in this world that not a lot of people pay attention to, and that is this. If you in this world of chaos
Mhm.
think that you have no way to deal with it, remember this. You always have choice. You have choice. It's the one thing we have is freedom of choice. Choice to live or choice to not live. Choice to grow or choice to die. We have a choice. There's many examples of people who were told they had an incurable disease and were
Yeah.
cured because they had the indomitable will to
Mhm.
live, and they lived. They chose life. We
You had
have,
mentioned World War II, and Winston Churchill. I wrote a paper on him
uh-huh,
in my undergrad. He has wonderful quotes, and one of his quotes, man, in that time when they were being bombed and attacked and they were underground, uh, he stated that this is no time for ease and comfort. It
hmm
is time to dare and endure.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You can choose to be the victim,
Hmm.
or you can choose to be the victor.
Correct.
It's your
Absolutely.
choice. It's your
It's a
choice.
choice. Yep. 50
They have
50.
always said, they have always
Yep.
said this. It is never the size of the man in the fight. It
Hmm.
is always the size of the fight in the man.
Correct.
If you don't believe that, you got nothing coming.
Hmm.
You can try to break someone's spirit, but if they're anchored, you might break the body, but you'll
Yeah.
never break the spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Never. Look, you got to be aware of instant enlightening apps, right? That says for
Hmm.
9.99, it's convenient,
Right.
right? Convenience is not communion. Life's
Mm-mm.
deepest firmware update is inside.
Inward.
You're forming your character,
Right.
serving others,
Hmm.
standing in awe Just standing in awe alone feeds your soul. And, you know, look, technology can assist, but it can never supply purpose.
Mm.
Flip the script. Every tool we build should amplify meaning, never replace it. There's studies out there that says that these kids coming up that are using AI are becoming dumber. And the more you use AI, the dumber you become because you stop thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
It does all your thinking for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so the problem with that is that if your technology does your thinking for you, you just give up
Yeah.
what makes you who you are. You give up your spirit. You give up your soul. You just let it just die. And if you do that, there is still hope for you, but no one can give it to you. You have to want it. Look, when someone has an addiction, I don't care what the addiction is, they have to want to get rid of it. And I'll give
Yeah.
you a great example. In Vietnam, a huge percentage of the soldiers in Vietnam were addicted to heroin.
Mm-hmm.
When they came back from Vietnam, the majority got off of heroin completely, never touched it again. The reason why, they had something more important than the heroin to live for.
Right.
They had purpose.
Yeah.
And even overcoming something as bad as a heroin addiction can be done if you have something more important than the heroin. You have something that gives you purpose. And if
Mm-hmm.
you have purpose, you can overcome anything.
Yep.
Anything.
Yeah. And
It's not hopeless.
you just mentioned a story about Vietnam vets and heroin. I'm gonna add to that statement by saying, and this is real life, factual people that I know, family that I've known, friends, whatever. More people stopped using drugs during the COVID pandemic. And and this was cynical and funny. This is what's funny. If the drug dealer can't get to you to serve you, you can't get high. Or you're afraid to go to him because he possibly might have COVID. So many people, man.
And then what happened?
For real.
They rediscovered
Yeah. Yep.
themselves.
They rediscovered themselves.
And they didn't
Yep.
need the drug anymore because
Yeah.
they don't need that distraction. Look, drugs are just a
Yeah.
distraction like anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Look, there's all kinds of things that are a drug. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you're a gamer and that's all you do, that's your ultimate life. That's your drug.
Correct. Correct.
So there's all kinds of things that are drugs.
Yeah.
But I think it's fascinating that you said that occurred because yeah, and then it forced those people to stay home, not go out and do a bunch of things. And what were they
Mm-hmm.
forced to have? Boredom. And what happens
Boredom.
with boredom? And what is that? A place for your soul to grow,
Yeah.
a place of
Uh,
wonder. So
yeah.
they were forced by that to look inside themselves
Mm-hmm.
and and find that spark. And many people found that spark.
They did.
And that's all you need is to know that there's a spark and there's a hope for light in the darkness, and you will find the light in the darkness.
Mm.
I've said this many times, and this was a great philosopher said this, and I can't remember which one it was that said it, but once I heard it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. When a student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yep.
And I don't know exactly where that one came from, but I'll tell you what, that's got to be one. I got to figure out when a student is ready, the teacher will appear. I'm going to look it up real quick.
And ladies and gentlemen, listen. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. I hope you took really good studious notes. And I want you to know this. Tell us how you're reclaiming your purpose. How are you reclaiming purpose over algorithms? And you can email us. Let us know. We might feature your story on the next episode of Tech Tuesday. Let us know. And if you need the email address, it's at info at the Final Boss Podcast, one word, info at the Final Boss Podcast.com. Let us know. And we'll feature your story right here next time on the Final Boss Podcast.
The final thing I'll say, inner readiness creates outer opportunities. If your soul is ready, the opportunities were there all along.
Yeah.
You just weren't ready for them.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Indeed. And that's our show, people. That's our show. Time goes by fast when you're having a good time. Listen, let's give it up for the Sensei. And let everything that we mentioned tonight in this conversation, discussion, let it marinate in your soul. Let it marinate in your soul. Let it marinate in your spine. Right? And remember this. There's a heavy pain that comes with discipline. But the pain of regret is always, always even heavier. And that's our show, right? And to everyone, no matter where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Be balanced, be equal, and be smart. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you for joining us for the Final Boss Podcast, Tech Tuesday. This was a show of enlightenment of things. Yeah, I can't even get it out, man. I can't even get it out. It was a great show. So watch it, rewatch it, and watch it again. And like, share, and subscribe. That's your mission. And be sure to share with us your stories of purpose. You have to find your why. You have to find your why. Discover your why. The why will give you purpose. Have a great night.